Okay, Shavua Tov, good week, everybody, to our thousands, potentially millions, even billions of listeners. We have, now we're beginning to learn in the book Torah Or, which was written by the first Rebbe of Chabad. And eventually this is going to be a book that everyone in the world is going to know about, everyone in the world, because what are we saying? The world is this amazing creation of God, and God's creating it constantly brand new, and God is infinitely good. And one of the reasons why we don't see the world as a good place, and we see sort of the opposite, is because we just don't want to receive his good. We just don't want to, be in tune with the creator of the universe. But he isn't giving up. He's not giving up. And that's what this book is about. How to be in tune with the creator of the universe and at least appreciate that there is such a thing. So if we do understand the creator of the universe also creates our emotions, and he creates our minds, and he creates our values. And the most important thing is he creates our free will, which our free will is also just sort of a function of those the aforementioned things of mind and emotions. But this is human mind, human emotions, depends on free will. So we use our free will. In order to use our free will, we have to know what we're choosing before. We have to know what we're choosing. So this is what Chassidut is about. Chassidut Chabad, the teachings of Chassidut Chabad are to at least give us the proper idea. That's called Chachma, the proper idea about what God is and how infinitely far away God is, much, much further than any of the other religions or ideas can possibly even fathom, because God creates the spiritual. On the other hand, he's infinitely closer and cares about us infinitely more than we do ourselves. He's closer to me than I am to myself, because he's creating me all the time, and he wants me to have free will. These are big mysteries, which I do not understand whatsoever, but the Rebbe does, and maybe we can get a little bit of at least a feeling that there is somebody who genuinely really does understand these things and believes that we can too. Which that's going to happen when Moshiach arrives. But a little bit we can at least, we can get a little bit. Maybe we don't understand how an airplane works, but we can ride in an airplane. So Mashiach, but the idea of the Mashiach is that he'll awaken in us our true intellect and true emotions and true love and true awe, etc. Okay, so let's go. Here we have an amazing example, right? So this week's Torah portion is called Shmot. It's talking about the names of the Jewish people that went into Israel to Egypt. Like we learned last week, the sons of Jacob, they went into Egypt. So there's a lot of amazing things that happen in this week's Torah portion, and one of them is that God chooses Moses. We're introduced here to Moses, Moshe. From now on, we'll call him Moshe. For the people who come in late or come in the middle, so we'll call him Moses once in a while. But his name is Moshe. How they got Moses from Moshe? I really don't know. What's so hard about Moshe? Right? I just really don't understand it. I mean, you can pronounce it easily, Moshe, huh? Moshe. It's not like Chala or Charon. Americans don't say Charon unless they're spinning or something. Charon. That you also can say. What do you have to, anyway, so we'll call him Moshe. And Moshe is, he's born in Egypt. He didn't come into Egypt. He's born in Egypt, and he's miraculously saved from Paro's decree to kill all the males. Who saves him? Paro himself. Unbeknownst to Paro, he raises and feeds and protects and educates, etc., in his house, the very Moshe that he fears. He's killed who knows how many hundreds of thousands, millions of children. It says he even killed the Egyptian children because he was afraid. He had this soothsayers told him that a male is going to stand up and he's going to usurp you, Paro. So Paro said, I got a simple answer. Let's just kill all the males. Which that, it sort of works for a while. Stalin was like he was a genius at that. He just killed everybody that he thought might in the future be against it. Millions and millions of people. He's still revered, Stalin. I guess Paro was also revered. If you have a picture of him, he'd probably be on some people's walls. In any case, he killed his own people and he killed the Jews and he killed as many people as he could. And the reason for it is he wanted to make sure that he got this one person who was going to usurp him. And ironically, that one person, he saved Moses. He saved, and he even brought him up in Paro's house. Okay, anyway, then we have the story about the burning bush, right? Comes along God, and he appears to Moshe. He appears to Moshe and he says, Moshe, good news. You see the Jewish people are suffering? And Moshe says, yeah, it really gets me down. These Jews are suffering. They're just because they're Jews. You know why? God says, okay, listen, just calm down for a minute. Take off your shoes. I'm going to give you this amazing prophecy. Moses says, listen, maybe you got the wrong guy. I don't think you. Are you sure, God? God says, listen, just calm down, Moshe. You're going to take the Jews out of Egypt. You go to Paro and say, Paro, let my people, my sons, B'ni B'chori Yisrael, my sons, my chosen ones, Israel. B'ni B'chori Yisrael, my sons, my chosen ones. Or somebody say my firstborn. It's really, Rashi says it means my chosen ones. My sons, it's spelled like firstborn, but B'nei B'chor Yisrael, my sons, my chosen ones, Israel, they are none other than your slaves. Let them go. So we're going to see in the course, that Pharaoh was going to say, Moses, how did you get in here? Moses, how did you get in here? But maybe that's not so much of a question because Moses he was brought up in his house. So Moses says, let the Jewish people go. And I represent God, the creator of the whole universe. I can do whatever he wants to do. He can kill you. He can eradicate your whole kingdom. You don't know you're messing with Paro. Let the Jews go. So Paro obviously says, I don't understand. If your God is so powerful, so let him take the Jews out. What are you asking me for? I'm like nothing. You claim to represent this powerful God that can do everything, and he contains the heavens and he contains the earth, and he creates everything all the time, and he creates time. That's what you're saying, Moses? That's right, Paro. I see you got the message. So let him do it. If he controls everything, he's the king of the universe. So what are you asking me for? If my opinion is important to God, then my opinion is no. I'm not going to let him go. What do you want from me? If you want to take him out on your own, what can I do? God's more powerful than me, so I can't say anything. But on the other hand, if you say that you're asking me, it must be that I'm more powerful than God, at least in this. At least in this area. Anyways, Moses senses that there's going to be problems over here. And not only that, it ends up that Moses was, he stuttered. Moses had a speech impediment. Not a nice thing to say, but he did have a speech impediment, right? It did not interfere with his shidduch, but he did have a speech impediment. And he said, listen, God, you got the wrong man. You got the wrong man. God, listen, I really like to help. Believe me, I'd really, really like to help you out. And, even though I have a little bit of complaints, why really are the Jews in Egypt? What's going on over here? And they are really suffering, and I really would like to get them out. But I'm not the one to do it. Why? Because I can't talk. Paro's not going to have the patience to listen to me. He's not going to have the patience. I'm going to go to Paro and say, Let my Paro's, would you just get it out? I mean, I'm a king and I'm a Paro, I'm a busy man. Just spit it out, Moses. Write it down on a piece of paper. I can't do that, God. Come on. So God says back to Moses, Vayomer Hashem Elav. God says back to Moses, Mi Sam Pel Adam. Who made a mouth to people? Who made people? You think I can't cure your mouth? Don't worry about it. I made your mouth. I'll make you be able to speak. Don't look at the situation as it is right now. Look at the situation how I'm telling you. You've got a lot of questions. You're justified 100% in having questions. 100%. You're justified. Your questions are justified. Forget them. Don't pay any attention to those questions. Let's understand. Moshe, what Moses said to God, Lo ish dovarim anochi, I am not a man of words. Ki kaved peh, I am hard of speech. I have a heavy mouth. Moshe had some sort of a speech impediment. I don't know what it was. It was stammering, it was stuttering. If there were certain letters he couldn't pronounce. Whatever it is, Moses had a speech impediment from birth. Slightly after his birth. There's also all sorts of midrashing explaining what happened, but nevertheless he did. When, by the way, did he get healed? When did he get healed? At Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah at Mount Sinai, so everybody got healed. It says the blind could see, the mute could speak. There's sentences that prove it in the Torah. The lame could walk, the deaf could hear. Everybody got it. That's what's going to be in the one stage in the days of the Mashiach. Also, everybody's going to be healthy. Everyone, even politicians will be healthy. Even the politicians, this is a very amazing thing. Even politicians, even Israeli politicians, will be healed. That's right. They'll all be normal. They'll all be honest. They'll all be, they care about everybody. Okay. What did God answer back to Moshe? Mi sampeh. Who made people's mouths? Who's creating your mouth? Says the Rebbe, the whole thing is a big question. Moses didn't know this. Moses was a religious person. Moses knew for sure that God is creating it. Moses knew this. Nevertheless, he said to God, I mean, God, good, you made me this way, but I mean, why? Why did you make me this way? If you made me this way, it's a sign that it's you, God, are making me with a speech impediment. This is an eternal, infinite speech impediment. You yourself are making it. So what is God telling you? Who do you think made mouths? What do you think? Moses believed in evolution? No. Moses knew, he believed in miracles he saw. Here, God is speaking to him on Mount Sinai. God is speaking to him. That's not something part of evolution. He knew it wasn't to be. So God wasn't telling him anything new. Not only that, obviously it was a big question in Moses' mind, why you have to choose me? Take the Jews out yourself. Why does it depend on me going into Paro and convincing Paro, asking Paro to be my partner and letting the Jews out, and he can join to God, he'll get some sort of a big prize or something like that from the creator of the universe. You take them out. Then give the prizes afterwards. And in Yuvan, we can understand by means of, first of all, Isa, it says, Sefer Tamuna. It's a Kabbalistic book. Sefer Tamuna. Shezeh Olam, this world, Hu Shmita Shnia. This world is the second Eon. Huh? Shnia. Ulafanel, before it, Hoyagam came Shmita Achas, there was another Eon. 6,000 years, whatever it's called, the Shemitah, because a Shemitah is 7 years. So it's like 7,000 years. So this was 7,000 years. And then there was a whole world or whatever, an eon before it, there was also 7,000 years. Don't get excited. You'll see. We'll see what the Rebbe means. That was drawn from God's kindness. The Shemitah the Akshav in the 7,000 years that we're now, here it says, Sheit Alfei Shana, the 6,000 years, the Hayal of this world, B'chad Charov, and one of destruction. One, it says it's 6,000 years of this world, and there's 1,000 years, which is going to be total disorder. Whom Mimidat Pachad, that's our generation now. That's the eon of Pachad, of, how do you say, awe, fear. Look in Chazakim. Therefore, the ways of this world are very strong and difficult, varam, and bad. Huh? Hainu, namely, this so there was already 7,000 years before our 7,000 years. And this, don't take this seriously. We're going to see. It's going to be a different explanation. There were 7,000 years before our 7,000 years. And our 7,000 years that we're in now, the first 7,000 that came from kindness. This 7,000 years comes from severity. Therefore, there was the destruction, there was the flood, there was the destruction of the first temple, the second temple, which was not the case in the first 7,000 years. This was from God's kindness. Then the way men served God, because that's the whole thing of the world, right? Is the people and they serve God. That's what the world is about. And this was Ofen Acher was totally different. Torah, and also there was Torah there also. That's what it says in the book of the Sefer Tamuna. Also the Torah, Hayab Ofen Acher, was in another way. Look over there. You have the book Sefer Tamuna in your house. Look into it. I don't have that book. I have a lot of books, but I don't have that book. In any case, the first 7,000 years was only good. Kach da Sefer Tamuna. This is the opinion of this book called the Sefer Tamuna. And afterwards, also other Kabbalists are drawn after him. Other Kabbalists, Ladun Mizeh, to understand from this, Shemuchrach Liot, that there probably is going to be Od Chamesh Shmitos. There's going to be another 5 sets of 7,000 years, Achar Shmitazu, after this 7,000. Because there has to be 7 periods of 7 years. That's what Shemitah, the Jubilee year, Yoivel. The Yoivel year is the 50th year. So they're saying that spiritually there's also these years, but it's not just every year is 1,000 years. So every year is 1,000 years, and therefore there's the whole, the whole system of this whole world, whatever it is a system of 7,000 year period. 49,000 years, Keneged Zayin Midos, this corresponds to the 7 upper emotions, right? So if you want to get spiritual and mystical and what's it called, the occult and all this stuff. So there we go. 7. This year is only 7,000 years. It's going to end. There were 7,000 years before ours. There were also people, all sorts of different types of people there. And they also served God, and they also had Torah, and there was also Jews. We don't know exactly what they were. And then this is the second period, and then there's going to be another 5 after that. Right? Not exactly right. Arizal, the Arizal Palig, he disagrees with this. And that's what we go according to the Arizal. Who is the Arizal? Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. He lived like 450 years ago. He's buried in Sfat. He's like the head of the whole new Kabbalistic movement. That started with the Arizal, and that's what Hasidut is based on. Palig Alzeh, he disagrees with this. B'ma Shalomdu, what he says, that there has to be another 5 eons. Each one of them is 7,000 years. That also, that this world is also the second period of 7,000. Maybe he does hold with that. Okay, so even if you want to say that this year is that there was before this year, this eon that we're in, which is 7,000 years, and Mashiach is going to come and fix up the whole world, this could be just the second one. That's why this eon is so hard, because it's what's called Gevura. And the first one was 7,000 years of kindness, so it was different. We don't have any books or records of what that is. Even if you want to say that, nevertheless, don't imply from that there's going to be 5,000 more. There's going to be 7,000 more periods. Look, and therefore, the Torah starts off with the letter Beit, Breshit, with the letter Beit, to tell you that there already was one 7,000 year period, and now there's another 7,000 year period. Okay. Anyway, the Arizal says that it could be this is the second period, but not like they said. Not like they said. This second period is not, the first period of 7,000 years was not physical. It's not that there was a physical world, like in this world of now. With heavens and earth, physical. There was mineral, plant, animal, human. This was not. Rak b'shmita zu. Only in this eon. Tavka. Okay, so what's the Rebbe saying? There is great Kabbalists, and they decided before the Arizal, before the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, they decided that the world creation goes in cycles of 7,000 years, and that there's 7 such cycles. What they say happens after the 7 cycles, I don't know. I don't have the book. But the Arizal says that's not right. And modern day Kabbalah goes according to him. At least Chassidut and all of those that follow with it. And Chabad for sure. What do they say? There were 2 periods. There are 2 periods. There's not going to be 5 more. There were 2 periods. But the periods, and we're now in the second one. But it's not physical. The first period is what's called the world of Tohu, and we're going to see. What's this got to do with Moses and being hard of speech? We'll see. Rak, this was not. Rak, b'shmita zu, only in this 7,000 year period is there heaven and earth and minerals and plants and animals and humans and Torah and people with free will, only in this 7,000 year period. Only b'zeh dav galavad. The inyan of Shemitah, the whole idea of the 7,000 year period that was before this was not physical. It's what we call the world of Tohu. It was a different order of life, a different spiritual configuration. Okay, than it is now. If you remember, we learned in Parshas Vayishlach, it says there are 7 kings, the 7 kings of Esav. This also corresponds to what's called the 7 primordial kings of Tohu. Shemetu, that they died. Shu'inyan, Sfirat, Ruchta, these are all not physical. This is not decided by the heavens and the earth and the sun and the moon. These are spiritual levels. Kanoda, as is known. Now, maybe we should intercede a little bit here. Parenthetical statement. Time existed before the world existed. Time is a spiritual concept. Time. It's also created by God, also in its spiritual sense. But time existed. God just made this world, the sun and the moon, to tell us when the night and the day is. That's what it says in the Torah. Don't think I understand this. I don't understand it, but it says in the Torah, that's what it says. Time existed before this physical world existed. And the physical world is just created according to those principles of time and space, etc., that were there before. These principles are also in the world of Tohu. The world of Tohu is not like this world, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. We'll get into it a little bit more. Nevertheless, suffice it to say that this world of Tohu, this is what's called spiritual facets of godliness, as it's known. And this Shemitah Da'akshav, in the present 7,000 years, this is what's called the world of Tikkun, fixed up world that's made afterwards. Kanoda, like it's written in the Kisvei Arizal. So maybe I'll try to explain this in a very short way. I hope I can get it explained in like 2 minutes or more. God creates, it's something like a painter that has a palette, and on the palette he has all these colors. He has colors. So let's say, I don't even remember, what are the pure colors? It's like, what is it, blue and red and white and yellow, something like that. Anyway, you put them together and you get all the other colors that there are. Maybe you have to have black also, I don't know. Anyway, you have these basic essential colors. And from these colors, you mix them all together and you make a world. But these colors are pure. These colors are pure. Maybe we could take another example. A piano, music, the notes, before you play it. So the notes are all there. There's a pure A is A sharp is A sharp. There's B and C. All the notes are pure. As soon as you start playing them all together, you don't hear the purity of each note. They're in with each other. They're in, how do you say, in sync with one another, in harmony with one another. Something like that. Anyway, I don't think either one of those examples is exactly good, but from my purposes. So God, that's the way it was. Before God created the world, this world within, there was all the potential, pure potential. Pure potential. Red was red, green was green. In this case, with the basic example, basic ingredients were not colors and they weren't notes, even though you could probably find some correspondence, but it was what we call God's sphirot, God's aspects, God's facets. God has 10 facets of his personality. That's how he creates the world. Makes no sense, but that's the truth. That's what means that God created us in his image. We also have these 10 facets. 3 of those facets are intellectual, intellectual, above the world. That's like the Torah. That's the plan of the world. But 7 of them are in the world. That's why the world is 7 days. God created the world in 7 days. He could have created the world in 1 instant. He created it all from nothing. He could have created, but he created it 7 days. Why? Because that corresponds, it's hinting at that there's this system. So the system in its pure form, that was the world of TOHU. But it was pure, but that wasn't the purpose. Like a painter with the colors on his palette, or the piano with all the notes there. Very nice, but that's not the purpose of painting, and that's not the purpose of music, is to leave everything pure. So then God, he integrated, he harmonized these aspects one with the other. In order to do that, he had to tune them down a little bit. And that was through a process which is called the breaking of the vessels, that God, so to speak, broke the purity of these spheres that he had, his aspects. And from this breaking, he was able to create the world with all the bad, terrible things in it, and etc. But that's part of the plan. So this world is called the world of Tikkun because everything is harmonized and everything. Nothing is pure in this world. Everything has a little bit of everything else inside of it. That's why in this world, every good has a little bit of bad inside of it. You always have to fight against the bad. The bad has a little bit of good in it. So it's always possible to repent and to recant and etc. So that's the whole idea of TOHU. TOHU is pure sphirot, pure aspects of God, 10 pure aspects of God. And the 7 lower aspects, which is called God's emotions, so to speak, that was where this breaking of the vessels occurred. That's where this mixing occurred. And that's what's called the 7 primordial kings. That's that world of TOHU, that order of creation, pure creation, but there was no harmony whatsoever. That's why it's called TOHU. TOHU also means confusion. Every man for himself. Free for all, so to speak. That in that world, that order of creation of TOHU, that is what is referred to as the first Shemitah. It's called the first Shemitah, the first Jubilee. First, what is it? Shemitah? How do you translate it in English? The first Shemitah, the first sabbatical. I don't know. Anyway, because it has said there are 7 sphirot of godliness. That's why we get the number 7. The Shemitah means the 7. So that's the first one. And this one is 7,000 years of what's supposed to be order. We're supposed to put order into the world. And that's what this whole idea is about. Tikkun Olam, you have to fix up the world according to the Torah. The Torah is the only way to fix up the world. That's the instruction book, right? You can't have an instruction book for a washing machine and try to use it in order to fix up a rocket, on the airplane. So the Torah is the instruction book for the world, but the world now is not in it's in a state which is jumbled up. Everything is jumbled up. In the world of TOHU, everything was pure. In this world, everything is jumbled up, but that's the way God wants it, in order that we should have free will and we should work. And when that happens, then that's a whole new thing. That's exactly what God wants. That's like the painter takes his painting, his colors, and he mixes them all up, and he makes a beautiful Rembrandt or whoever you happen to like, whatever painter you like, or he was the pianist takes all these notes and he makes for himself an amazing whatever it is, Chopin or something. There are 2 neshamos. There are 2 people that came from the Shemitah Rishona. There are 2 people that came down to us into this physical world from the first, what we call the first 7,000 years, even though it was not 7,000 years, first period of Tohu. So let's call it the period of purity and the period of purity and of harmony. That's a better term. Of purity and potential harmony. Oh, that's better. There's 2 souls that came down from this pure period before this world was created. Before the world was created, there was no time, right? There was no time, so you can't say really before. But nevertheless, this first level of creation, which was called this purity level, that came down into this level, this world, which is potential harmony level. I made that up, by the way, so it's not 100% accurate, but just for our purposes. There's 2 souls that actually came down from this purity level. I know from this world of Tohu that was before this world was created, the world of Tikkun. Yardu, they came down, they came down into our world. Who are these people? Like Superman from Krypton or something like that. Well, these people they're Supermen that came into this physical world. Who are these Supermen that came down from the world of Tohu, before time, into this world of Vehem? Chanoch and Moshe. Who is Chanoch? Ketuv Chanoch, v'yisalei Chanoch Elokim, that Chanoch walked with God. These are one of the Lomar to say, Shekavar hitalech eto Elokim, that he already walked with God. B'shmita echad. At the time of, the first, this is before Noah was born, right? Okay, and also in Moshe was the other one. Kativ, it is written, Mayim Mishistiu. It says that Chanoch was too holy. He couldn't deal with the world. God took him away. But Moses was the other one. He was the savior. He came from this different level of reality. It says by Moshe, Mayim Mishitiu, that he was drawn out from the water. That's why his name was Moshe. Mayim Mishitiu. He's drawn out from the water. What is this water? The water means Mishmita Rishona, from this first 7,000 year spiritual period, which that was the period of kindness. We said that. Chesed. The chesed is water. Kindness is compared to water. So Moses was drawn from this first spiritual 7,000 year period called Tohu. Umisham, Mishitiu, he was drawn down into our world. The Ikir Ridasam, the main thing of this descending of these 2 souls, Chanoch and Moshe, the Zua Shemitah is Kadei in order Lataken Olomo to fix up the worlds. Key because they are Shorsham Gavoim. Oh, they're very high souls. Yan because Yotam Lamaila, because they were above. They know what purity is. They were above. They're the ones that can make harmony in this impure world, right? Imagine getting a puzzle. You ever go to these stores, you buy a puzzle. So they have puzzles, and the puzzle has in it like, special, holiday special, 3 million piece puzzle. I say, oh, I'd like that. I'll take it home for my kids. He says, okay, here you go. And he takes it from the box and he pours it into a bag and he gives it to you. He says, but let me have the box because there's the picture on the box. No. It's a special holiday special, but without the box. How much does the thing cost? $100. I'll pay $100 for the box. No. Only certain individuals can see what the final picture is. I don't want it. Take it back. Sorry. You already bought it. You said yes. You bought it. That's it. You got it. I don't want it. That's it. It's yours. Have a good day. Happy holiday. They have people kick them out. That's it. Same thing. We're born into the world. The world is a tremendous, confused place. 3 million piece puzzle, 3 billion piece puzzle. We have to put the whole thing together. Well, at least give me the picture. Give me the box. I can see the picture. No, that's part of the deal. Can't do it. Well, there are certain people that do have the picture, and that was Moses. Moses was one that he came from this level of purity, and he knows what reality is really supposed to be. He came from the first Shemitah. That's why he gained in order to fix up the worlds. Because the source of these two people, they are very, very high. Chanukh was not with us. He didn't really succeed in very much, but Moses did. Because these two souls, Moses, let's take Moses, he is above all the people that are born in this 7,000 year period, beginning with Adam. Because up where they are much more surrendered and harmonious than they are in the Shemitah. Lochin Neramah says by Moshe v'nachnu ma. Moshe said, "What are we? We are nothing." Va'ish Moshe anav ma'od. It says that Moses was very, very humble. V'gam ra'ah Sham, and he also, when he was in the world of Tohu, he saw in the Shamos Gavos Lamayla Mimena that were even higher than him. It says that like Chanukh was even higher than him. Here he brings also Lemach. Okay. Lochen, therefore, Yardu in the Shemitah, therefore, they came down into this world in order to fix it up. Chanukh was before Dor HaMabul. Chanukh came before the generation of the flood. That then the world was the worst possible. Lochen, therefore, Yered Chanukh came down to this world in order to try to fix it up. Shelo Yachzor Lagamri Lato, so that it wouldn't go totally to be nothing. So I guess he had an effect on Noah. Rakshi Amabel Aloretz, so that the world will not be totally destroyed. There'll just be a flood, and it'll purify the world. According to this, God might have had in his mind to just blow the whole thing up. Just eradicate the whole world. Start a new world on Pluto or something, who knows what. V'yiseu Noach, therefore, Yisharu, so the world was just a flood, and only remained Noah and his sons that lived in the ark. But if Chanukh was not there in the world, the world would have been destroyed totally. But even Noah and his sons wouldn't have remained. But Moshe also came down to take the Jews out of Egypt. Torah, that there would be the giving of the Torah by means of Moses. Okay, so what do we see? That Moses, that's what Moses, we're going to see what this has to do, that Moses was from such a high place that he couldn't speak. That's what it means it was hard to speak. He couldn't bring himself down and to talk. We'll talk about this. 1 second. A little bit more. The difference between Tohu. in this world of purity and tikkun, the world of potential harmony, Yadu, it's known in Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim is a book of Arizal. Shetohu lo haya bechinas partzufim. Tohu, there wasn't what they call harmony. Rak, Eser Sfirot. They were just Eser Sfirot, and they were like called points. Nekudot. There's a point of chesed, like I explained to you. A point of chesed, a point of gabur, etc. Okay, what? And you know a little bit of geometry. Geometry. You ever learned geometry? I learned a little bit of geometry, very little bit. And in geometry, there are it deals with shapes and forms, right? So the basic shape and form, the basic, how do you want to say it? The basic unit in geometry is the point. Point. You have to have a point. A point. A line is 2 points. A line is 2 points. You have a point and another point, and you make a line between the 2 points. And then a plane, I guess, is 3 points. You have 1 point here and 1 point there, and then there's another point above it, and you stretch those two, so it makes a plane. And then there's what's called a cube. A cube is already like another dimension. That already goes deeper. So there's, what do you want to say? There's 4 points, 6 points. I don't know. Figure it out. But let's just talk about dimensions. So there's, the point is no dimensions. A line is 1 dimension, just length. Length. A plane is 2 dimensions. It's got length and it's got height. A cube is 3 dimensions. It already has depth. But a point has no dimensions at all, but it's there. It's a thing. So it says something like that are the aspects of God. On one hand, they're there. On the other hand, there's no dimensions. It's pure godliness. That's in the world of Torah. We have absolutely no way of comprehending this, and that's only these big Kabbalists. They comprehended this like the Arizal, those people. Okay, so the world of Tohu is pure, like I told you about the colors and the notes and things like that. That's pure. That's called Nekudim. And namely that there are individual spheres, and we're going to talk about this more, God willing, tomorrow, basically repeating basically what I told you, but in a much more precise and convincing way. Let's go now to stop. Share this.